Hi, I'm Kat, and today I'm showing you how to make the inside of your miniature haunted house. Hope you enjoy. To start, I went on ahead and painted brown along the inside of all the doors and windows, and then I used a piece of cardstock to measure for my shelves. I cut two pieces of cardstock to go on either side, and then several little shelves to go in the center, and just glued them all together with some Mod Podge. For the globe, I used a little bell shape and then attached a small piece on the back to make a pyramid shape and hold it in place, and then a small piece of clay as well as a little wire, um, coffee stir sticks for my shelf, and then I made books and a bust out of white polymer clay. Then for most of the other pieces of furniture, I just cut out slabs of clay into rectangles or squares, and then I used pieces of cardstock to act as shelves or drawers or whatever else I wanted. I didn't glue those in place, I just pushed them in slightly, and then when I painted over everything, and that held it in place. And then for the fireplace, I cut out a general fireplace shape and used my knife to draw in a little circular shape for pebbles or stones. Because I wanted a stacked looking mantle, I cut out a piece of cardstock I traced from the top of my fireplace, and I cut that out and traced that, and then I cut that out and traced that, and on until I had 3 pieces for my mantle and 2 pieces for my base. I also did the same thing with any other pieces of furniture that I wanted to have mantles for. For the bed, I stacked together 4 pieces of cardstock, and then I used a piece of coffee stirrer sticks or skinny sticks for the little poles at the side. So I just took the stick, cut it off into a small enough piece, and then cut each of those pieces into 4. For the toilet, the sink, and the tub, I made the shapes with polymer clay, but I made them in pieces. I found it easier just to glue them together when it was finished. And for the tub, once I shaped the inside shape with my ball tool, I just added on the bottom. For the sofa, I cut out the shape I wanted, and I pre-baked the first little pieces, and then after that, I went through and added the cushions in out of polymer clay, and then I used the inside of a piece of foam to texture it. And then I had all the components for pieces together. I added legs, anything that needed legs, and then I was ready to paint. The mattress and the pillow are made from polymer clay. And everything painted and glued together. The biggest differences here is I added the wire between the toilet, the 2 halves of the toilet, and I also added a stove to the top of my chimney and added polymer clay covers to my bed and silver paint to the inside of my mirror. To start the landscaping for my house, I used a piece of cardstock and I drew around the house on the cardstock, or marked around the house on the cardstock, and then sketched out where I wanted things to go. So starting first with the water, because that takes a while to dry, I just cut out a shape that I wanted to use for my pond, and then I used a popsicle stick to support the whole thing. 3 popsicle sticks, 1 on either side, and then 1 for both side pieces. Then I used a little glue on my finger and put it around the shape for the pond and stuck a little piece of plastic in there. And while that was drying, I went on ahead and painted it beige, followed by dark brown in the center toward the bottom, and then green along the edges. And then when I finished, I covered everything with glue. Everything except for where the house goes. And then I used a little Snow-Tex, which I used in my last video. I use the same thing here. Now if you don't have Snow-Tex, you can use sand. I just wanted to mix the Snow-Tex in with the glue because that way it would spread a little thinner and not have as many clumps. I'm using this as a general texture for my ground and my grass. And I textured right over the plastic bag. And then there's several ways you can make water. Dimensional Magic, resin, but because it was just a few drops, I used Mod Podge and allowed it to dry after 2 drops, and then added more, allowed it to dry, added more, allowed it to dry, etc., etc. And then for every grave, I took pieces of toilet tissue and pushed those in place on the grave, and this will just add like a little mounded effect. For the trees, I used mascara brushes. The first one, the green and pink one, is a Maybelline brush, and the black one was just a sample makeup brush that I got from Sephora when I tried on mascara, and I cut them all into cone shapes. And then starting at the bottom, I used some dark green paint and just painted all the way up, making sure I got all the different pieces on the mascara wand. And then I went back to finishing my landscaping. I painted my graves brown, my grass green, and then I used a little tan or taupe or beige paint to go around the graves and any place where there may have been foot traffic to make it look like those areas were a little more worn. And once my trees were dry, I just pushed those in place, and you can either use an earring backer at the back or you can glue them. And then I decorated with some extra pieces of grass, some small pebbles, and some pieces of preserved moss. Inside, I glued all of my furniture in place, and then painted everything that was metal or porcelain with orange paint for rust. And I'm just trying to age it a little. So paint inside the tub, and then at the bottom and tops of the toilet and the sink, as well as on the stove, and make sure you add a little rust coming down the walls. And then for spider webs, I painted on the walls with some glue. I'm using dryer lint to make spider webs. And this is everything all together, complete with a couple of gray polymer clay tombstones. And that's it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Bye.